You know that feeling, when everything is finally working the way it's supposed to, when the job is good, the relationship feels solid, your sleep is actually restful, and for the first time in a long time, you're not waiting for something to fall apart. And then, quietly, without any warning from the outside world, you find a way to destroy it. Not someone else, not bad luck, you. And then you stand there, in the wreckage of something that was actually going well. And you think, what is wrong with me? Here's where we are right now. You've noticed this pattern before, maybe more times than you want to admit. Maybe you broke a diet exactly when it started showing results. Maybe you said something unnecessarily harsh to someone who was finally beginning to understand you. Maybe you just stopped doing the thing that was working, without any clear reason, or at least without one you could explain to anyone, including yourself. I'm not going to tell you that you're strong and that you'll figure it out, because that's not what this is. What I want to do is show you what's actually happening underneath, why this isn't a character flaw, why it isn't weakness, and why you'll almost certainly keep doing it until you understand one specific thing. But before we get there, we need to be clear about what we're even calling sabotage. Most people assume that self-sabotage is just laziness, wearing a slightly more complicated mask, or weak willpower dressed up in psychological language, or simply, that's just how I am. But that framing gets it completely wrong. And it gets it wrong in a way that actually makes the problem worse. Sabotage is not destruction. Sabotage is protection. Your brain is not tearing your life apart because it hates you. It's doing it because something about your new situation feels unfamiliar in a way that registers as dangerous. And your nervous system responds to dangerous the same way it responds to everything it doesn't recognize. It pulls you back toward what it already knows, even if what it already knows is painful. Because at least the pain is familiar, and familiar means survivable. But here's where it gets more specific. It's not just that your brain fears change in the abstract. What it actually fears is the threat to something much more personal. It fears the loss of the identity you've built around your struggles. And this is the part most people never get to, because it sounds too strange at first. Inside you, there's an image of who you are, not who you want to be, who you believe you actually are, at the level below conscious thought. And for a lot of people, that image contains things like, I'm someone things don't work out for, or I'm someone who gets close, but never quite makes it, or I'm someone who doesn't really deserve the good version of this life. You didn't choose these beliefs deliberately. They accumulated over years. Small experiences, repeated disappointments, things people said to you, and conclusions your younger self drew in order to make sense of a world that felt confusing or unsafe. And when your external life starts contradicting that internal image, when things actually work, when someone actually loves you well, when the career gains momentum, your mind doesn't celebrate, it panics. Because if you're successful, if you're loved, if you're building something real, then who are you? You're a stranger to yourself, and a familiar disaster is less frightening than an unfamiliar version of thriving. Therefore, it destroys. It returns you to the coordinates where you recognize yourself, where everything fits the story you've always told about your life. But what does this actually look like when it's happening to a real person? There's a guy, let's just call him. For months, he searched for a job, sent applications into what felt like a void, doubted himself in ways that kept him awake at 3 a.m, and then finally, a phone call, an offer, something genuinely good. He says yes. The first week goes fine, even better than fine. The second week, he starts arriving late in ways he can't quite explain. The third week, he snaps at a colleague over something small, completely unnecessary. By the fourth week, he's out. And as he walks away, thinks to himself, well, there it is. I always knew this wasn't really for me. But look more carefully at what actually happened, because it wasn't bad luck, and it wasn't an incompatible workplace. He engineered his own exit, one small decision at a time, entirely without meaning to, returning himself to the familiar coordinates of being someone things don't work out for. Not because he wanted that, but because he genuinely didn't know how to be someone that things do work out for. And this is the most painful place in this whole conversation, so I want you to stay with it. The question is not, why I keep doing this to myself? Because that question leads you in circles. It leads you to shame and self-analysis that never quite reaches the root. The real question, the one that actually opens something, is, who do I need to become in order to stop? Because as long as you believe the problem is your behavior, you'll keep trying to change your behavior, and you'll keep drifting back, because the behavior is just the surface. The root is in how you see yourself, in the story you carry about who gets to have the life you want, and whether you're that person or not. The stick figure stands there, looking at everything he's dismantled, and for the first time, he doesn't ask, "What's wrong with me?" He asks, "Who am I without all of this?" That question is scarier, but it's the right one. One tool, just one, because a list would give you the illusion of doing something without actually changing anything. The next time you catch yourself doing something that chips away at something good, don't punish yourself, don't spiral, don't call your friend and spend an hour going over it. Just ask one question, quietly, to yourself. Who inside me needs this to fail? And what are they trying to protect me from? Not, why am I like this? But, which part of me believes this outcome is dangerous? And what does it think it's saving me from? By pulling me back. You won't solve it in a single conversation with yourself, but you'll start to see it. And seeing it is genuinely different from being inside it, without knowing it's happening. Because the moment you can name the pattern while it's occurring, you've already created a little distance between you and the reflex. A small win isn't, "I defeated self-sabotage today." A small win is, "I noticed it, once, in the moment." That's enough, for now. And next time, we'll talk about what happens when you can see it clearly, and you do it anyway, because that is a completely different story.